BitShares is a world-class blockchain like Bitcoin with a digital currency platform boasting enterprise-level scalability and throughput with separations of power and self-governance baked in. Need the power of a blockchain with the stability of a dollar? We invented it and tested it for 3 years. Want to make a loyalty token, coupon, or shares in your business? We have you covered. Wish to add world-class development? This tech can fund your work. Whether for an everyday entrepreneur or computer-savvy code guru, BitShares provides tools to empower a world of unapologetic innovators to wield and share value with a level of freedom once thought impossible. Meet a community of such innovators every Friday at 2 p.m. UTC, led by Chris Herring and Fuzzy, to play a role in the evolution and advancement of this state-of-the-art project. Welcome to the BitShares revolution. You just leveled up.
Good morning, everybody, for the next episode of the BitShares Hangout. This week, we're going to talk about a lot of cool, awesome stuff that is happening in the BitShares ecosystem. I'm coming to you live from Vienna today because I'm very happy that I'm going to join opening party at the House of Nakamoto here in the city center of Vienna. It's going to be, they sell it basically like an art gallery, but it's going to be all about blockchain and Bitcoin and all this. Very excited to see what they're going to do tonight. So I just going to give you a couple of updates here, and then I will get ready for the big show at the House of Nakamoto, and you can follow me on Twitter for that. But before we go too deep into the opening parties here, I want to get started about BitShares, because the BitShares meetups here that we host every Friday, and I really, even if I'm traveling to do that, share basically the latest insights, and they are also sharing with you this great knowledge we call BitShares. And for this week, I thought about the following feature I want to introduce, and that is the account naming system. So when you're opening up your Lite client, you have the opportunity, if you have no account, to create a new account, and it will ask you for a couple of different specifications, because you have basically three kind of names in BitShares. In the BitShares, you have a premium name, that is a short name, and the shorter the name is, the more expensive it gets. And when you have a longer name, and if you're adding basically a couple of figures to it or special characters, then the name gets cheaper and cheaper. And the beautiful thing is when you have to register on the BitShares blockchain through a faucet. So somebody has to basically pay the registration fee. And when you do that over Open Ledger, you can basically choose a regular name. And then when you want to have a special name, like very short, like for example, Chris, just on the blockchain, then you need to pay an extra fee that. When you, for example, use the SmartCoins wallet, in our settings, we say like you need to have a regular characters like Chris, then a couple of numbers, and then you need to add a dash. So when you see an account that is registered with a dash, it's very likely it's registered through the SmartCoins wallet, because this is one of the cheapest ways to register an account. You don't have to pay a lot of money. I think an account registration right now is 19 BitShares, so it's quite cheap. Then you're good to go. But of course, once you are on the platform and you have a couple of BitShares in your account, you can start to get really cool short accounts. And here's something special. Maybe some of you guys can explain me that a little bit more as well, because I'm not so. What you can do on the BitShares platform is you can create a mother and daughter relationship. So when you have an account called Chris and you add a dot behind the Chris and then something, so for example, chris.mobile or chris.pay, and the chris.pay account is a daughter account of the Chris account. And you can only create the chris.pay account if you already own the private keys of the Chris account. So that's a clear combination how you can link accounts together, and that's also the case for UI. So if you're creating your own coin or token on the BitShares platform, you can also create these kind of relationships. It is quite cool, but I don't really know the reason for it yet. Can somebody explain it?
The dependency on a mother account name has been obsoleted with BitShares 2.0. We had this in BitShares 1, but we don't have this in BitShares 2 anymore for account names. We still have this for the asset names.
And what was the reason to introduce it?
Trust. If you own one account, you could be sure that a sub account is owned by the same guy. But this came with a lot of additional complexity that doesn't make a lot of sense, because you can still make the trust stuff off chain and know where you're sending your stuff.
So basically, if you have like a Poloniex account or an exchange account, you could say Poloniex.wallet is the wallet, and if you say Poloniex.cold storage, then that's a cold storage. But these two accounts need to be in the same wallet as Poloniex, so you can be sure that that is the Poloniex account.
No. What I'm saying is that if I own COM, the COM account on the blockchain, then anyone else could do com dot something or whatever .com. The names are not linked in any way anymore.
Was there a reason that was abandoned?
As far as I remember, that was complexity.
Okay.
And basically, you end up with a namespace that is pretty similar to simple email, basically.
I have a question related to names. I registered maybe half a dozen names back in the mid 2015 timeframe before Graphene was fully released. It was about the time that guy spammed thousands of them, and they changed the rules. But I didn't violate any of the rules. I just registered a few names. Well, I saved the brain key and the password for those accounts, and I can't use them now. And I'm wondering why I can't use them. And that era is so long ago. I'm not sure whether we preserved the credentials the same way that were done back then. So I'm having difficulty with all of those accounts, even though I saved everything I could for credentials.
I'm not sure how the brain key in the BitShares 1 system worked. I thought that it's similar to how it's been done now, but I don't. The code is somewhere in the old BitShares code, but I haven't looked too much into it. This has mostly been written by James Calfee. He probably knows the differences in these brain keys.
Now, is it possible to use like in the GUI, in the current wallet GUIs, there's no way to enter a brain key that I could find? Maybe I'm just missing it. But is there? Oh, you can. Okay, so I need to figure out that.
I can tell you. You go into the settings, and then there's a sub setting that's called wallets, where you can switch between different wallets. And if you create a new wallet, then there's a link at the very end of the page that tells you something, provide custom brain key or something. And if you click that, you will get an extra text box where you can provide the brain key for that wallet.
Okay, well, I'll do that. Now, that means that the accounts that I've saved away will have to be in their own separate wallets to do that, I guess.
Yeah. But you can then export the private keys and import them into any other wallet.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Xerox. Appreciate that.
Sure.
You just have to pay attention that when you're exporting the private keys, that there are 3 different private keys. So there's active, owner, and memo key. So if you just take the first one, the active, you still don't have the owner. So you have to be careful that you take all 3 private keys and import it into the same wallet.
Or at least the owner key, so that you can recreate the others, right?
Yeah, then you can also change the others, but I think you cannot do that in the in the interface, right? You need to have like a private key generator who's generates a private key for you.
Okay, well, it's just easiest just to grab all 3 of them while I'm there, I guess.
Yeah, because as far as I know, there is no private key generator in the GUI itself yet, but you can set up a key yourself, but somehow you need to get it from somewhere.
Where there are multiple utilities where that can be done. I'm sure Thomas knows, but people who are listening might not.
Yeah, the CLI wallet could generate private keys too.
Well, actually, you can use the same private keys as Bitcoin. The only difference is that you cannot easily derive the public key that you need to provide when you're changing the keys in the account. But the private keys are pretty much the same as in Bitcoin. They are, they are compressed. They are private keys in compressed format. So they start with a 5. Well, no.
Those are uncompressed, right?
We ran into quite some trouble when we were trying to bring the Steam to Trezor. The problem with the implementation as it is done in Graphene is that the keys themselves are compressed, but they are prefixed with a 5. Sucks.
Oops.
Okay, now we're gonna get ready and geeky. We have just for a little remember, we have the GIF Steam Festival where we got around 25 different features already explained in GIFs. I just posted here the link. You can also find it on Steemit. If you look for the big BitShares GIF Festival, you find most of the different GIF tutorials, how to import key, how to get a brain key in, and so on. So this is just a little side note. For this week, it was a little quiet, but I think there was a couple of big topics that were in the chat room, in the Telegram chat that we have. If you go to telegram.me/BitSharesDEX for decentralized X, you can join us for the weekly discussions. Before we start, just a little thing. I tried to reach out to Ronald, who is part of the BitShares Foundation, but I was not successful this week. I think he was very busy, so I couldn't reach out. I will try it again, and then we can see how we can actually really use the foundation for hosting the forum, maybe how we can do all the funding for that, and so on. So I would like to jump on to the next topic, and that was very hot debated this week. That is about the witness pay. There are currently several discussions in the forum to raise the witness pay from currently 1.5 BitShares to 3, 4, or even up to 5. And it seems like we have a community consensus around 3 BitShares for the witness pay. What are your opinions right now, and how should we vote on this proposal?
Did you do a poll on it? I think that we were going to do a poll on it.
There are several polls. There's one in the forum, and there's also one through the workers system.
Well, polls don't actually say anything or have any meaning. The only thing, also the community has no meaning. The only thing that has a meaning is the shareholders' vote. So even if the community reaches a consensus, because what actually is a community and how much voting power do they have on the chain? So these kind of metrics are not working well on a stake-based voting as it's done on BitShares.
That's true, but we do have two proposals that BitCrab put out there that are stake weighted, though, that people can poll against. So that's a good way to measure it, and I think that's a good way to conduct a real consensus of what's going on.
Absolutely, but the only poll that really counts is the workers poll on the blockchain. Every other poll has no meaning, or any other whatever consensus outside of the blockchain has no meaning after all.
Correct. So there are 3 proposals in the worker stream, and right now the 3 BitShares per block is the leading, has the most support on the blockchain. Can somebody shortly summarize what is the story behind the proposal? And I think also something that Fuzzy, you mentioned we really should like to kick off in the weekly mumbles is to, of course, invite the different proxies so that they can maybe present their point of view, why they would vote or not vote for a certain kind of worker or for a certain kind of move. And then we can start a discussion and also get a better insight how the proxies are seeing that opinion and that matter. And I'm very happy that one of the biggest proxies is joining us today, and that is Sirok. So that is already a good start. And I think Giant Crab is also here, so that's good.
So
hi, hello. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so I think I can first introduce some of the background of the work proposals. Before that, I have doing some poll in the forum, and I even considered to increase the witness pay to 5 BTS or even 8 BTS. But after the poll, I found after the poll, I decided to fit a worker proposal for 4 BTS per block. And then in the discussion in the Telegram, I found that many people prefer 3 BTS. So then I create one more worker proposal, which is for the 3 BTS option. So now there are total 3 work proposals. There are no changes, 3 BTS and 4 BTS. And now the 3 BTS option got the most support. And it seems that now XEROC is the key proxy. He now voted both the no change option and the 3 BTS option. if now there's no big changes, I think finally the 3 BTS will win in the end. So can I ask XZ Rock, will you change your opinion, or you will keep your current voting?
My current position is that I checked paying 4 BTS per block, but I kind of found a compromise in paying 3 BTS with some, well, let's call it, I'm not very happy with just throwing more money at the witnesses, basically because the network is stable, the witnesses are already paid, and I think even though running a witness is not making a lot of money, it's still enough money to run a decent server for it, and that's everything we need. On the other hand, I would like to see more. First of all, I would like to see more fresh blood coming into the witnesses, so like a little more competition. For instance, in Steam, we have quite some competition when it comes to witness voting, because Steam pays out a lot more than BitShares. So I would like to see some fresh blood coming into the witness voting on BitShares as well. And the other thing is that I'm going to be way more rigorous when it comes to voting down witnesses that don't deliver some extra. The extra basically is that given that the servers can be paid with the current pay rate quite nicely, well, that's at least my calculations, I would request the witnesses to actually do a little more than just, well, run a server and let it stick over there. This is not like a point where you can keep running and make money out of almost no work. So I would require, or I would ask witnesses to do more work, and I'm actually going to vote down witnesses that do not do something extra for the payment that BitShares gives them.
And what extra would you like to see?
Pick your favorite. Anything, like be active in the forums, be active in discussions, maybe some development, maybe help with some web page, do some support, whatever. Be active.
Have you thought about publishing? Have you thought about publishing these extras that you would like to see? I operate extra seed nodes. I'm active in the forum, but other people will have their perspective of what will be active to them. So it's always good to have some standards. And I know T-Bone was proposing some standards, and I think we need to move in that direction. So I'm just asking whether or not you'd be willing to post what you would like to see as your criteria for inclusion as a witness.
I don't have specific criteria in that regard when it comes to doing extra stuff. Basically, because I don't want to narrow down and restrict people with their creativity in how they could participate in making the network great. In the end, it's up to the witness, and I would love to contact them before I vote them down if they are, in my eyes, not doing as I would like them, or I would prefer them to do.
With regard to prospective witnesses or standby witnesses, would you feel that a testnet is an important requirement so that we can vet them and make sure that they're capable of doing the job, and actually give them an opportunity to publish feeds, which you can't do any other way other than through the testnet?
That's true. I would love to have more people involved in the testnet, and I'm actually also thinking about creating a couple of these known market-backed assets in the testnet, and not call them fake US dollar something, so that people can become familiar with the existing code for price feeds. It's just that I didn't have the time yet to actually do that.
Sarah, can you give us a little bit better of an insight? How does that competition on Steam between the different witnesses, how does it look like? How do they get down? How do they fight for getting the support of the community?
Well, first of all, there's a difference in the witness pay in Steam, not the amount, but also in who gets paid, and that is that they have a so-called runner-up witness every round. So they have 19 witnesses that are in a round constantly, like every time, as long as they are voted enough. And then there's a extra seat every round that is given to the standby witnesses. I'm not sure, randomly or weighted by something.
It's
randomly.
weighted It's weighted by voting stake.
Weighted by I thought so. So the closer you 19th spot, the more often you will be creating a block in Steam. So there's not a hard threshold to get into the active witnesses, but a little more softer threshold. Then, of course, you have them competing on Steam itself. So whenever someone's doing something on Steam, for instance, a good example is Good Karma. He's doing quite a good job in writing a mobile app for Steam, and whenever he does something on Steam, he announces that on Steam and asks for upvotes in his footnote that, like, if you like my services, keep me in the top 19 by voting for me and stuff like that. Arguable, the voting process in Steam is not as user-friendly as I would prefer it to be, but yeah, well, maybe that's going to change.
Well, but it's worked. I mean, there's enough voting support. People are voting. There's a battle. I see that. I think, like, voting for me is more like you have to run for public, like a politic position. You have to lobby for yourself, make advertisement that you are the one that is the right person that you should vote for. So I think that is pretty good, and I would love to see that on the BitShares platform. Similar. I'm just looking at the witness list. So we have 23.
You got to be cautious with that analogy, Chris, because we know what politicians in the U.S. do. They get in there once they promise you everything, and then once they get in there, then they don't do anything.
Yeah, but we can fire them immediately.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yes.
So if you do a bad job, if you don't deliver on your promises, you're out.
You're fired.
Same for the workers.
Same for the workers. Yeah. So this is a powerful tool that we have. Just for better understanding for the witnesses, I'm looking at the 23 witnesses we have running right now. How is the payout actually work? It's like a sequel order. I think like every 3 seconds, one of these 23 is selected to produce a block. Correct?
Yep.
And they can fail, right?
Yep. If they don't produce a block, they are not paid. If they produce a block, they are paid.
For the block, yes.
For the block, but let's say so every 3 seconds a new block, and then when the producer, who's basically when it's his time and he fails to produce, then who's producing the block instead?
It's a missed block. It's gonna be an empty slot. You need to then wait for three more seconds for the next block to come up.
So that means all the transactions are also jumping to the next block.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that.
As far as witnesses go in BitShares, I'm looking at cryptofresh.com/witnesses. And, BitShares has standby witnesses too. Is there not the same sort of round robin spot as Steam has?
What would it be? What would it take to make the witnesses in BitShares, the standby witnesses in BitShares, operate as they do on Steam, or similarly to where they're one of them or the highest voted stake one gets a little bit of pay?
Some coding in the hard fork.
Is it a significant effort?
I have no clue.
Okay.
Probably not.
Because I'm looking at Lafana is 2 million BitShares votes, or maybe even 1.5 BitShares million votes away from being in the producing slot, and it's like Lafana, I guess, is not getting anything from that.
Nope, he's not.
It's actually a witness channel. Do we have something like that?
Yeah, there's one in Telegram.
Yeah, okay. Telegram's not really active.
Well, the witness chat is as active as it should be because it's a low noise announcement, important stuff channel.
It's an invite only channel, I believe, too, which I think is a good thing.
Well, there's also a witness channel on Slack, but yeah, Slack isn't very active either. But in the end, we don't need to be too active with the witnesses because, well, we used to be very active with them once as we were in development phase and had a lot of hard forks to coordinate and security fixes, but well, we haven't had any of these for some time. So this is basically going on on its own.
I see Fox put a comment here in the chat about efforts to be put forward voting out the witnesses, not producing the price feeds. I'm wondering, could you elaborate on that, Fox?
I totally agree. If they are not producing feeds, they should be voted out.
So coming back to the original proposal, so the idea basically is from BitCrab or Giant Crab is to increase the witness pay from basically double the pay they get right now to attract new witnesses, to increase the competition, and to basically kick out those witnesses who are not active anymore. One of the big downsides, of course, is in this way, when we are increasing the payment, basically the budget for the witnesses, they're going to be less money for the worker system, and of course we're going to drain the reserve pool, which right now is in a negative trend. We're not generating enough income in the BitShares blockchain. That is all collected. Basically, we collect all the fees, we put it in the reserve pool, and from the reserve pool we have a daily budget we pay out for witnesses and workers. And when we are increasing that, then we are basically spending more from the reserves, correct?
Correct. But the number of witnesses is actually not constant. So we can vote for less witnesses, and then less witnesses will be paid, and the blockchain or the funds from the reserve pool will be drained more slowly. The lowest number of witnesses we can have is 11. And I think we are at, 31 or something? So we can
23.
23. Okay, so we can cut that into half.
And buffer that a little bit and say like, okay, we pay more, but we have less witnesses. Okay.
Yeah,
there's trade-offs with doing that, though. I mean, we have decentralization issues, which probably 11 is enough, but we also have reliability concerns too. So if they're really good and highly reliable and have redundancy built in, then probably 11 is enough. But otherwise, I would say certainly right now, I don't think we need to go that drastically down, but that's at least my opinion.
And if you have 11, you'd probably want to figure out that they're, on many different hosting providers.
Exactly. Yeah, that's something that I don't see discussed a whole lot is these more detailed considerations of what it takes to put a witness together with regard to decentralization, redundancy, reliability, and all these types of things. And that's been discussed in the past, but it hasn't been a recent discussion. And if we're talking about reevaluating how witnesses are tested and evaluated, then I think we really need to be looking at a lot of that criteria, and that's what I think T-Bone has been putting forward is a lot of these ideas, and I am in agreement with those ideas.
As I recall, didn't Bytemaster say that it has to be a prime number that we choose for witnesses?
Odd. It has to be an odd number.
Just an odd number. Okay.
Well, I think I wouldn't cut it down really to 11. I think to have a little bit more security in space is better. But of course, then these 11 positions need to be attractive enough that the people are really fighting over it. I see a lot of older users who are here in the witness channel, and we really need to get them basically up the railing. They have to really campaign and promote themselves so that they are the best to get paid. So I'm in favor basically to raise the witness pay to really get this competition kicked off, and then also every week talk about a little bit about their results and about their campaigns. And I would love to see if they use part of the funds that they receive to add value to the ecosystem. So in terms of development or marketing or increased security.
I personally, you guys know how I feel about this. We used to do this where people would actually post about what extra things they're doing or what they would bring to the network in addition to running the server. And I think that having witnesses advocate for something that's constant and then workers for something that's just, it needs to be done now, and it's going to be like a short-term job, workers are a perfect place for that.
You're talking about the separation between the duties of workers versus the duties of witnesses. Is that what you're referring to there, Fuzzy?
Yes, but at the same time, I've often thought that I've seen both, and I've seen how active the community was during the time when witnesses had to campaign more and they had something, there was a little bit more of a payout, like $700 a month in equivalency of BitShares. And they would actually come out and say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to run the server. Generally, we would have a team. People who, we'd have somebody who's a tech guy who would run everything, and then they would represent, a group that was going to do X, Y, and Z. And when you think about what we got from the $700 a month, we actually got pretty dang good value out of it. So I don't think that we should be afraid to look at that model again.
I think that to reduce the witness number to 11 is not a good idea. The BitShares is a public blockchain, so we need to keep the witness numbers above some certain numbers. Currently, the number is 23. It is not a too high number, and maybe we need to make it a little more witness to join. Small number of witnesses, I think it may increase the risk for the witnesses to collude to do something evil, and also for the price feeding. A reliable feeding needs need more witnesses to provide the date. The lower number of the price feed provider can reduce the reliability of the feeding price.
Did actually anybody did like a calculation how many days or years it will take to drain the complete reserve pool of current burning rate?
If you burn all of it, it's I think 6 years or something, like the maximum evolution.
I mean, how at what rate are you burning it? At what rate are you disposing of it? That's the key. And are you talking about based on the current rate or based on the projected 3 BTS per witness and current work? Or what are we talking about in terms of draining this?
Well, both would be interesting to see. Like, okay, when we continue to run like today, when is the pool empty? And if we increase, when is it empty? I mean, it's never going to be really empty because, of course, there will always be new money coming in. But when we're basically getting into an area where it's like, okay, we getting really.
Well, this is a very basic kind of calculation to determine the viability of our expenses and our income. So I think your suggestion is really good, Chris. And I think Xerox, didn't you just mention that you had a figure there, at least for some level of drainage?
It's some years ago that I did some calculations. Give me a second and I can tell you a little more.
Well, we have these stats on CryptoFash. When you go cryptofash.com/reserves, you can see basically what is the current balance, and the spending per hour and so on. And I think based on that, we can calculate basically our runway we have.
It would be nice if there was a time just to put those individual measurements into perspective for people that might not be as familiar with the details. To say the current rate of burn, the projected using up of the reserve pool would be on this date or something of that nature, to give it in terms of time, like you suggested here, Chris. That would be very useful for people to understand how much the reserve pool actually has in it.
Yeah, we probably should have had that for a while.
That's a CryptoFresh thing, which is yet another discussion point of how we're going to deal with the reliability and enhancements of features in the Block Explorer.
Why don't we start recruiting using one of our other tools, Steemit?
Well, what we can do is, of course, we can recruit Steemit witnesses and ask them, okay, they build a tool, they connect it with the API on Steemit, and they have a new Explorer if they also want to do something for BitShares. Also from the Moonstone deck, I think we can get a lot of people coming over. So I think from my point of view, it is absolutely okay to increase the burn rate for now and to attract new people, to get new tools and get that in a timely manner. And then when we see, okay, we spend too much or we have a problem down the road in 6 months or 12 months, then we can still adjust it. Otherwise, we're going to sit on a reserve pool, which is basically investment funds, but we never really use it. And I think we should really think about, okay, how can we use it correct and spend it in something? Because as a company, of course, you always need to invest. If you don't invest, you don't move forward.
Absolutely. And the fact that we don't have the big inflationary thing that we had from legacy time frame now, I think that there should be much less pressure about inflation in terms of what we're spending. So I think that's a great perspective to have about investing in the future and investing in the robustness and the reliability of the chain.
Because if you think about it, if we are now investing in getting new tools finished, like, a better blockchain explorer, better wallets, better ways how to get started, we're going to increase activity of the blockchain. And then in this way, we're also going to increase the revenues that we are generating and our profits.
Yeah, we've got to look at marketability and trying to get our figures up, our market cap up, and just the adoption. It really comes down to adoption. Don't really care about the market cap in some respects. It's a matter of people using the chain and more people. So marketing is something that I think we need to keep in mind. Now, we've always had the perspective in the past that if we build it, they will come. Well, we built fantastic things, so we've got to look at more of the emotional marketing aspects of it, not just the quality of the tools we're putting together, although that's important, of course.
Well, right now is just a perfect time if you really think about it, because China's two giant exchanges. What was it? OK something, and then the other one.
OKCoin, yeah.
OKCoin and the other one, and all of those people, they're now stuck with all of their money. So they must be like terrified, jumping in a circle.
This is the perfect time to actually advertise and say something because Fab said something that I read the other day that was beautiful. He said he posted to Steam it. Guess what exchange wasn't affected by China? And he posts a BitShares symbol. And I think something like that, a statement like that posted to some place like CoinMarketCap, where everybody goes at this moment, they're all primed and ready for, this frustrates people. You know what I mean? It hurts the price of BTC. Everybody sees all this stuff. It frustrates people. And whenever people are at their pain point, that's when you want to offer the solution.
Absolutely.
I hate to say it.
No, that's exactly right, because that's when their emotions will make them make decisions quicker.
Yes. Which, I mean, this is some, I don't want to call it like Illuminati stuff, but that's what they do. I mean, they capitalize on this stuff, the elites, because they have people who are psychology doctors who focus on this stuff.
Yeah, I think it's already good that FAF is managing part of the social media for now, at least Twitter. But of course, we also have to ramp that up. And I'm looking forward. We are just recruiting a second social media manager for BlockPay. And I also want to get that person for at least a couple of hours for BitShares. I'm going to teach them what to write and what to do. And I'd really ramp up here also marketing for the core platform. I think that is very important that we get that out.
Would you guys support a worker if I reached out to CoinMarketCap to pay for it?
You mean to have a banner ad?
Yeah, a banner ad saying the China impervious deck or something like that. We could come up with something by the community, or have a competition for it on Steemit or something, and then put it up there.
I also feel that now is a good time to promote BitShares as the things happening in China. I'm considering to do some advertisement for BitShares in 8BTC.com, the most popular website in China for blockchains and cryptocurrencies. I have talked with the people of the 8BTC. One solution is that I will give a banner apologize at the homepage of the website. It costs 2 BTC per month. So I plan to first to do 1 month advertisement. It will cost 2 BTC. I will pay 1 BTC, and I plan to create one worker proposal to collect the left 1 BTC from the community. I'm not sure whether this will be supported from the community.
How much is it?
What are you proposing, Giant Crab, as far as the amount?
What I said is that I will contact the website 8BTC.com to put some advertisement at their homepage for BitShares. Now it needs 2 BTC. I will pay 1 BTC from my side, and I will create one worker to get fund for the left 1 BTC from community.
Yeah, but how much is the banner ad? If you run one on BTC 8 right now, is it 1 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin? How much is it?
Yeah, I think we're asking about what the cost of that, what the advertisement venue would want to charge for the advertisement that you're proposing. First of all, I want to say up front that I think it's great that you're proposing and willing to do this, and you're not doing it. You're not doing it out of totally the. You want some help in doing it. I understand that as well. So we're just trying to get our understanding of what the costs are, and I think you've stated here that you're going to provide for half of those costs by offering 1 BTC, but 2 BTC is what but we're not quite understanding what those costs are.
What the costs are yet. So you're saying basically you guys, and I kind of agree, we don't know exactly what the costs are, so why don't we find out and then we can go forward with a proposal like that and look at it.
Let me help you things into perspective a little. I pasted this in the comments already. If we max out the current maximum pay rate of the whole network, like getting out as much as we can from reserve pool, the reserve pool would be empty in about 8.2 years. I'm emphasizing here that the current maximum pay rate is something that the committee could change. There's a coded parameter in the blockchain that like prevents the block from paying out more to workers and more to witnesses in total, but this could be changed. So the maximum pay rate would at maximum payout with parameters, we would still have funds for 8.2 years, and given that we don't pay everything they could, and there's still some funds going into the reserves, back into the reserves, and not going to workers. At that current rate, we would still have like 25.5 years left, still paying the funds that we are paying today.
I hate to say this, Xerox, but you were cutting out. Would you be able to restart that part, and then I'll cut it out and I'll post it with it edited?
So if we were to pay out the maximum available funds that we can get from the reserves pool, then we would deplete that reserves pool in about a little more than 8 years. And at the current rate that we are paying out to workers and witnesses, like right now, we would be able, or we are able to pay 25.5 years. Another thing you should keep in perspective is that a third, 1 over 3, like 33% of all BitShares are in the reserve pool. We have a maximum supply of, I don't know, 3.2 billion or something, and there's still a little more than 1 billion in the reserve pool.
That's amazing.
So that means the current reserve pool can support several years according to current budget.
Of heavy
so I think
spending.
It does not mean that this additional sell pressure may not result in a market cap going, or at least the price going down. That's for sure. So all these numbers need to be. There's a reason that we have a maximum drainage power from the reserve pool, and that is because we don't want to flood the network or the market additional BTS. So the higher we go to the rates, the more we need to offset this additional sell pressure.
Does anybody know what the consensus is on the argument against us paying out in BitUSD and backing it by our reserve pool? That way we actually force liquidity into these markets by making people like the reserve pool could take the short end, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we cannot do this automatically because we would need to offer people a way to also have other assets. For instance, the people in China don't need BitUSD.
Yeah, of course.
They want BitYuan and all these. You need additional features, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to add these into the call directly. But instead, you could do it like I'm doing, or I'm trying to do with my current worker proposal, which is basically the worker is owned by a multi-signature group, and that group is paid in BTS, and the BTS don't leave that account, but they are used to buy BitUSD or borrow BitUSD from the decentralized exchange, and I'm only paid the BitUSD to my account for the work I do. At least that's the plan. Let's see how well it works.
So this is something that's being looked into?
Well, the proposal is active. You can vote for my worker proposal, and the worker proposal links to a GitHub page where the whole process is described in detail, in a little more detail. There's still some.
I think it's a beautiful idea.
I do too. I think it's a fantastic idea. So I'm all behind that, Xerox. I think you outlined it very well in the forum, and I think it's a great idea to improve liquidity as well as supply funds for your worker.
Looking forward to see whether that's working out or not. Still need to work a lot on the scripting side. A lot of these things need some additional tools to make it easier for people to actually do as I want to do.
Short question at the end. You calculated basically the max payout in BitShares. How much is that per day or per month? Do you have any keystone number we could use for any kind of budgeting?
Budgeting for my worker or what?
No, for annual. If you want to basically say, okay, we want to use the BitShares platform to its max, so we want to get out as much BitShares as possible. Is that $5,000 per month, $6,000 per month? Where are we?
The worker is at most 12,000, almost 13,000 per hour.
Okay, this is a fixed number here. Okay.
Yeah. Well, fixed as in the committee could change it.
Yeah, of course, but I think that's a really cool feature actually, that the committee can have such a break here to prevent any kind of bigger trainage. But if you calculate that, how much is that per in euro or dollar? 1,200 per hour?
That's $50 per hour?
50.
I'm not 100% sure. I think so, yes.
Because then we would have basically like an idea to say what kind of person can we hire with this money so that they can do something. But you also consider this is basically the overall worker proposal, worker fund. So we have 3 active workers right now, and they all need to be fed or provided or run with that money per hour. No?
Yeah, they are draining from these.
It's not that we found a pocket with a lot of cash.
Pardon?
What I'm saying is that we just found a big pocket of cash and we just say, like, let's spend it all. Of course, to do it reasonable, but it means that we still can, in a reasonable way, we can put it into action through workers for a guided worker structure where we say, okay, we have a company or a team who really is working on the marketing full-time, the business development, and so on, and using that money in a reasonable way, but they are supervised by somebody who know how to run a project and a team.
Yeah, the problem here is that BitShares is international, while your team is probably not so international as the shareholders that are voting for it would like it to be. For instance, we could set up something here in the Western, like in the US or in Europe, and market it in Europe or in USA, but why would the people from China or from India or from Australia or from Africa, why would the shareholders over there pay for the marketing in our countries? This is not like, well, there is a whole lot of money that could be used if the shareholders agree, but I can understand that the shareholders...
I understand your perspective there. This kind of goes back to what BitCrab had, Giant Crab had proposed about advertising in China. But the thing that's different is about that proposal is that we know that the majority of the stakeholders, I think, are in, or a good share of them are in China. So even though we may not personally get a benefit directly from that advertisement, we do indirectly, just increasing the adoptability or the advertising of BitShares to a large marketplace.
To give you a short summary, so if you say like, okay, the worker feed, so the money that we spend for the workers today is 12,000 BitShares per hour. That is around 38 euros per hour. That is per day around 915 euro, and per month around 27,000 euros. This is what we have for the worker as a budget. So around, you can calculate price stability and so on. 5,000 euros per month they could use to pay people to do stuff for us. That is a team of 5 people, 6 people, depends where they are.
And I think also that means what, about $54,000 worth of or euros worth of liquidity across maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 MPAs.
If you break that down, you could basically say like it's 15,000 euro per month in liquidity. You pay it out in BitEuro. If you pay it out in BitShares, it's 2.5 the amount. But I think the main key takeaway for today or for the discussion today is in theory, we have a budget of 25,000 euros per month we can spend on projects. That could be marketing, that could be business development, that could be getting the platform better, getting development costs, and so on. I think we have a good pocket that we can really use. The only thing that we need here, and I think I totally agree here with the Chinese side, is how to structure these workers. We need to have a certain kind of framework, and we need to have an experienced project manager who can really keep people responsible. So if they are not delivering, if they don't work fast enough, if they don't do a good job, then they're out and their budget is off. I think here we have to be very, very strict. And even if we're now going to pay a little bit more for the witnesses, I think even then, maybe going down from 25 to 20,000 euros we can use per month. That's still enough to hire a good team of people to kick marketing off, to get a lot of stuff done. Before we end, I just want to mention one more big thing for this week. We are still looking for witnesses for the testnet. So if you have a bigger server, if you want to join us, please follow up in the forum about the testnet that we want to organize. And in a couple of days, I think we're soon going to be ready that we're going to have another speed test for the blockchain. And then we can see how fast we really go. In the meantime, what I really would like to kick off is everybody from us can really think about, okay, how could we really set up this team of people to take care of marketing and so on. I think now for most of us, it's now really clear what are the budgets, what are the opportunities we have, and what are the structures that the community really agrees to. And as we said in the beginning, the big thing is here, you need to, everybody set up a team, everybody can be part of that work proposal and that worker program, but if you are not delivering, out again. So with that, thank you everybody for joining this week. This was a very, very interesting discussion, a lot of good, great input and feedback, and I want to thank everybody for joining, and I'm looking for the ongoing discussions in the forum. Please don't discuss everything in the Telegram and record it on the forum. And then I'm looking forward to talk to all of you next week, next Friday, 2 UTC, 2 p.m. And wish you everybody a good day, good weekend.